Imagine this. A gorgeous summer afternoon in one of Atlanta's most prestigious neighborhoods. The sun casts a golden glow over the quiet, tree-lined streets, and the sound of birds chirping blends with the occasional hum of a passing car. Michael Carter, a retired police officer with 15 years of service under his belt, is finally reaping the rewards of his hard work. After years of working overtime shifts, saving every extra penny, and sacrificing vacations, he has finally secured the home of his dreams. A breathtaking two-story house with a pristine swimming pool that glistens like a sapphire under the warm Georgia sun. This moment should be peaceful, a long-awaited chance to enjoy the fruits of his labor. But that peace, it's about to be destroyed. Michael leans back in his lounge chair, eyes closed, feeling the warmth of the sun on his skin as a gentle breeze rustles the leaves. For the first time in a long time he feels at ease. Then bim! The piercing wail of sirens shatters the silence. The sound cuts through the serenity like a knife. Before he even opens his eyes, his instincts kick in. Years of law enforcement experience have trained him to recognize the distinct urgency in those sirens. He sits up, his heart tightening just a bit. 2 patrol cars screech to a halt right in front of his house, sending up a cloud of dust. His stomach knots as he watches uniformed officers step out, hands resting near their holsters. Their eyes scan his yard before settling on him. One of them steps forward, his expression unreadable. "Sir, we've received a report about a suspicious individual trespassing in this pool area." Michael's jaw clenches. Suspicious individual. He already knows exactly where this is coming from. Out of the corner of his eye, he catches movement from across the street. His neighbor, Karen Thompson, stands at her window, peeking through her curtains, a smug, satisfied smile playing on her lips. The same smug smile he's seen far too many times before. But what she doesn't realize, this is going to be the last time. Let's rewind, back to where it all began. 2 months earlier, Michael had been on top of the world. After years of dedication, he was finally moving into the kind of home that his parents could have only dreamed of. A stunning property in an upscale Atlanta neighborhood. Everything about it was perfect, from the elegant front porch to the sparkling backyard pool that had caught his eye the moment he first stepped onto the property. It should have been a fresh start, a new chapter. But from the very first day, he knew something was off. As he arranged patio furniture in his backyard, he felt the weight of someone's gaze. He turned his head and spotted her. Karen Thompson, standing at her second-floor window, phone pressed to her ear, staring at him like he was an uninvited guest in his own home. Trying to be neighborly, Michael raised a hand and gave her a polite wave. But just as quickly as he saw her, she was gone, vanishing behind her curtains like a ghost. That was the first red flag. The second one came the next day. Michael had stepped out for a quick trip to the hardware store when his phone buzzed. A motion alert from his newly installed security cameras. He checked the footage and felt his blood pressure rise. There she was. Karen Thompson. Bold as ever, she strolled right through his unlocked backyard gate as if she owned the place. She wasn't just peeking around. No, she had the audacity to lay out a designer beach towel on one of his pool chairs and casually dip her feet into his pool, completely unbothered. By the time Michael returned and confronted her, her response was something he'd never forget. She gasped dramatically, placing a hand on her chest. "Oh, I didn't realize anyone was home," she said, her voice laced with fake surprise. "I thought you were the new pool maintenance guy." Michael could feel the heat rise in his face, but he remained composed. Years of de-escalation training had taught him how to handle situations like this. "Ma'am," he said, his voice steady but firm, "I'm not the pool maintenance guy. I'm the new owner." Karen's face twisted with disbelief. She let out a nervous laugh, her eyes scanning him up and down. "You, the owner?" she scoffed, barely able to hide the condescension in her tone. "That must be a mistake. I know the realtor handling this property, and she never mentioned, well," she trailed off, her meaning clear without needing to finish the sentence. Michael kept his composure. "There's no mistake, Mrs. Thompson. This is my home. And you're trespassing. Please leave. Karen's lips curled into a tight smile as she gathered her things. But as she turned to leave, she muttered under her breath, just loud enough for him to hear. We'll see about that. It wasn't a passing remark. It was a promise. Over the following weeks, her behavior escalated from annoying to outright infuriating. One morning, Michael woke up to the sound of laughter and splashing. He looked out his window and felt his stomach drop. Karen had invited 4 of her friends over for a full-blown pool party. He stormed outside, keeping his emotions in check. You all need to leave now. This is private property. Karen, lounging on one of his chairs like a queen on her throne, barely spared him a glance. Oh, don't be so uptight, she scoffed. We're just having a little fun. Besides, the previous owners always let me use their pool. Her friends exchanged nervous glances, realizing they'd been misled. One of them whispered, Karen told us she had permission. Michael inhaled sharply. That was the last straw. Mrs. Thompson, he said, voice cold with finality. This is your final warning. If you trespass again, I'm calling the police. Karen's smirk deepened. She stood up slowly, flipping her sunglasses onto her head. Go ahead, she sneered. I know everyone at the precinct. My husband plays golf with Captain Richards. That was all Michael needed to hear. That afternoon he installed new security cameras. Over the next few days, the footage confirmed his worst suspicions. Karen was obsessed. She tested his gate, peeked through his windows, and even tried using an old key from the previous owners. But the final straw. She hosted a book club in his backyard. Michael came home to find 8 women lounging by his pool, sipping wine as if they owned the place. This time he didn't hesitate. He called the police. And when officers arrived, officers who knew Michael personally, Karen's little act fell apart. But instead of backing down, she declared war. And Michael? He had just the plan to end it once and for all. To be continued. Karen wasn't just hosting a simple get-together. No. She had labeled it a small community gathering to support local real estate values. But Michael knew exactly what that was code for. A calculated move to make him feel unwelcome. She had been trying to get under his skin for weeks, using passive-aggressive tactics, dropping hints in neighborhood meetings, and stirring up concerns about how certain changes were affecting the area. But this time, she was about to step into a mess of her own making. Michael had spent days planning meticulously, ensuring that everything was set up perfectly. 3 additional hidden cameras were installed at just the right angles to capture every possible moment of the upcoming fiasco. He wasn't about to rely on just one perspective. He needed full, undeniable coverage. And the pool. That was the masterpiece. He followed the exact concentration guidelines provided by the dye manufacturer, ensuring that it was completely invisible in the crystal-clear water. Anyone looking at the pool would see nothing but a pristine, inviting oasis under the hot Georgia sun. By the time evening rolled around, he spotted Karen in her backyard, phone in hand, speaking animatedly. Her voice carried just enough for him to hear, on purpose, no doubt. Yes, he's usually gone all day on Saturdays. Trust me, it'll be fine. Bring your best swimsuit. Michael couldn't help but smile as he listened. She really thought she was untouchable. The next morning, he made sure she saw him leaving, casually tossing his gym bag into the trunk and driving away just like any other Saturday. But instead of heading to his destination, he took a quick turn down the next street, parking his car just out of sight. Then, silently, he slipped back into his home office through the side gate. His perfect observation point. From his desk, he had a clear view of the pool. His security app was open, ready to capture every second. His phone was fully charged, recording in crisp HD. And now, he waited.